Testing, testing. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Whoever's here has to speak into the mic. So, no, whoever's here has to speak. So. How many should?
Okay, I think it's close enough. We can call the meeting to order. Stand for the flag salute. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And should we have a roll call, establish quorum?
President Klein,
Here.
Vice President Masumoto,
Present.
Member Burton,
Here.
Member Robles,
Here.
Member Tapscott Munson.
Present.
We have a quorum, communications, inspirational reading.
Another school year has ended. It comes with a familiar mix of exhaustion and pride, as only those who work in education know. It's a good time to reflect on all that has been accomplished. Students have grown, challenges have been met, and many moments of learning and connection have taken place across our schools. This week also includes Juneteenth, which marks the end of slavery in the United States and reminds us how far we've come as a country. There's something fitting about celebrating both the end of our school year and this day of freedom together. Education has always been liberation's closest ally. When our students understand the past, they're equipped to shape a better future. As we head into the summer, let's recharge and reflect, and we can all rest well in the knowledge that our students are heading off stronger, smarter, and more ready to change the world than when we met them in August. And that's the true measure of a year well spent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Chair will entertain motion for the,
So moved.
Second.
to adopt the agenda. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
President Klein,
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto.
Yes.
Member Burton,
Yes.
Member Robles,
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson.
Yes.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes. May 15. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
President Klein,
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto.
Yes.
Member Burton,
Yes.
Member Robles,
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson.
Yes.
Okay, there's no employee of the month this month and no recognition of a superstar this month, which I think we're going to double up next time, so it won't be forgotten. Community input. Public may address the board pursuant to established procedures. No action shall be taken pursuant to California Code Section 954.3. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the Fresno County Board of Education as per bylaw 9323. Haven't received any requests, so that's required that I read that. And so now we will move into closed session, conference with real property negotiators. So we need to clear the room.
Including no pets and expensive others, and not as there's no way in this office. It's just a center. There's no way to say so.
I'll figure out her butt. She can look. Okay, call the meeting back into order. There's no public hearing for any subject matter, reports, information, discussion, education, and innovation. Dr. Greenlaw, talk about the LCAP. What happened? There he is.
Thank you. Thank you, President Clyde, Vice President Masimoto, Superintendent Cofer. I'm excited to be here today to present a variety of things across the agenda today. We see us many times. So before we get into my specific item, I just want to give just a quick summary of some of the things that you're seeing today, so that way you're kind of aware of all the things that happen in June in our kind of world around educational services, around some of the work that we're doing today. So today you're going to hear some information on a DA report that I'll present just shortly around LCAP, specifically around some of the services we provide to some of our districts throughout Fresno County, and our work around DA as well. We'll also hear a final approval of the LCAP, which is an important document that really tracks some of the spending that we do internally with our core community schools, typically some of the stuff at Homos as well. And you're also going to hear something around our LCAP's federal addendum. You'll be able to hear a little bit about that. That is really some of the reporting requirements that the state of California has done as a companion document to work with our LCAP to address some of the federal requirements. So you'll see some of those funding things. Again, a lot of funding and program that are kind of interlaced as we go through. You're going to hear today of our SIPSA from special education. And the SIPSA that will come forward, special education specifically, again, around program and some of the ways that we're going to support those programs throughout this year. Chris will be able to share some of that as we go along. You're going to hear Proposition 28 as well. Also some funding that talks about what we've done to support some of our arts initiatives, again, internally in our programs. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about local indicators. And local indicators are part of the dashboard that California requires all LEAs to produce data for. Some of those are state-produced data. Local indicators are data we produce. It's a self-survey, so you'll see those. The reason I say this to you is that all these things interweave. It's not, yes, we do some of these things in pieces, but everything we do when it comes to funding and programs are conversations that go across the district, across the different programs that we work with, to make sure that we're complementing the areas that we do best to meet the needs of the students that are identified in these. The most needed is the students who have the greatest need that we have. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're reading these and looking at these and hearing the presentations that you'll see. You're going to be able to hear from a few of us. The reason we do this is because certain people are responsible for certain areas. You're going to hear from Lori Lloyd today, who does a lot of work with our state federal programs. You'll hear from me, you'll hear from Chris. You're also going to be able to hear from Joe, who kind of runs our core community programs. But just be aware, we do that purposely. It's intentional to be able to speak to the programs they own. Go through. So just building you up for an exciting day of lots of information around compliance stuff, which is what I spend most of my time. So this is awesome. So we're going to start with the very first one, which is the DA report that you have in front of you. And this report, it's based upon a requirement that the state of California required. This started requiring back in 2019-20. And in each one of the fiscal years thereafter, I'll read it. A county superintendent of schools shall prepare a summary of how the county superintendent of schools plans to support school districts and schools within the county and the development and implementation of the LCAP and the DA processes, and present the summary to the County Board of Education at the same public hearing where the LCAP is adopted. So that's today. This is our plan for the coming year to support Fresno County districts with the development of the LCAP, as well as with those who are identified as having needs based upon our DA work. So there's three real goals. You'll see there on the PowerPoint. The first one is the LCAPs. We review all the LCAPs that each district produces. A very rigorous process. We partner with them. We make sure that it's following the requirements that are there. It's their money to spend. It's their money to make decisions based upon what they're doing, stakeholder feedback that they receive from their parents and from their internal programs. But we actually help them make sure that it's legal, that it follows the requirements that they have. We have a review process that we go through. So each district does that as well. We communicate very clearly and often with our LCAP leads across the county, and we provide lots of training. Starts in January, doing lots of training. We do something called LCAP coaches. So each district has a coach that actually goes in and works with them, that we work internally to make sure that they're successful. Our goal is that when they adopt the LCAP that they're doing just this month, just like we are, that it's the LCAP that is done. So that way, when it comes back for us for the final review and approval from our superintendent, who is ultimately the one who's responsible for approving it, it's ready to go. So it's an iterative process. We work very closely with Kevin Otto and his department in the fiscal side, very closely to make sure that they're very successful. We're going to do that again with a similar process. The other one is this idea around technical assistance. So when we think about technical assistance, if we had an LCAP that was not approved, we'd work with that district. Notice that though, never happened. We never had that. We do pretty good work. So it's never happened. We work with the districts very closely to make sure that that gets approved. And then we also have differentiated assistance. To be aware of that, you'll read it in the report that's there for you. Differentiated assistance is a program the state of California does, identifies county offices to go out and work with districts that are identified through their dashboard on a variety of parameters, more than I would stand here and tell you today, because it'd take too long. We go through and we work with them on areas around continuous improvement to help them address the needs of their most needed students, whatever they're identified based upon their dashboard elements. We work with them to establish a process that they can be able to really address some of those needs. Not just the needs there, but a process that they can then apply in a variety of places for them to be successful. So if they're working with homeless students, they can take that process and apply it to their English learners, their students. We work with them across the district. That is our plan through the year, to work with those districts. They are identified each December, the new ones that make them out. So we do that as well, and we continue to have ongoing support. We have a really great relationship with our districts, and we've been very successful there. The final goal that you'll see in the report is simply this idea of we call this kind of level one support. This is support to all districts. We have lots of networks. I'll give you an example of CalPAD support. Where all districts can send their CalPADS technicians to make sure that they're successful in knowing how to do this. We will continue to do that throughout the rest of the year, a variety of networks where we do some homeless work, we do assessment networks, we do things with CalPADS and a variety of pieces, and we also do some coaching and some things. This will continue. This is that annual summary report for information on this item, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about it.
You just used a term I'm not familiar with, CalPAD.
CalPADS is the data system that the state of California uses to track all of the different students. So when your student is enrolled, they receive a number called an SSID, and that SSID is associated with all the information they have, whether it's enrollments, whether it's classes they've had, whether it's anything that's associated with that student. CalPADS is the system that tracks that they use to go between schools and the rest. It's something California put together probably 20 years ago, and it's become very, very important. It drives a lot of the data that we do in California.
But it was kind of a disconnected system for a long time.
For a little bit. It's not disconnected anymore.
Good.
Very, very.
Because that's been asked for repeatedly.
Yes.
Over the last couple of
It's
decades.
very, very comprehensive. There's a long story. We can sit and talk about that some other time. But they do a very good job, but it's technical. And it's big because there's a lot of things that go into for each student. Each student takes with them a lot. It's important. Choice of words, information, and to be able to track that, search that, and be able to use that for identifying where needs are for dashboards and the rest. It takes quite sophisticated. And so our folks internally provide specific support. To be honest with you, we have the best in the state. She's amazing, and so she does, and I can say that. Hands down, she's the best in the state, and that is the truth. Everyone's trying to steal it. And we provide support for our districts to be able to make sure that it's correct, the data are accurate, so that way they can make better decisions based upon very clean, accurate data to be able to impact students on what they're doing. So we provide training for all of our districts across the county.
Yeah, because before, they'd leave county lines and we wouldn't know.
Correct.
What happened.
Correct.
Now they'd have to either leave the state or drop out.
Correct.
And before you leave.
Well, we even hang on to them because sometimes they come back to the state.
That's true.
So they come back in, we still got you.
That's fantastic. I've always said we should have a secretary of the student department where we will be able to have a collaboration of data so that we could track our, not lose them because we were losing them, didn't have a safety net. CalPad, I'm sure the name's probably changed over the years, but fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Your training or staff training, I should say. Able to notice a move of the needle on the students' dashboards scores the last 2 to 3 years or so.
So we have, and I have opinions on that as well. The data and the indicators on student data on dashboards is a large item. Small changes like training a teacher in the classroom, training an administrator like that, will have a. We've seen that when we're in there actively training administrators to be better at the administration process in the school district, to support teachers, to allow teachers to teach better in the classroom, it has a marked impact on the actual test scores per se, which is a really lagging indicator that's further out. But yes, it does have an impact. It's hard to see, I did this training and therefore this happened. There's more corollary than it is going to be something that's causal in effect, but it is something that over the long haul, when we look at larger scale pieces, it does have an impact on this. And we continue to do that. One of our most requested things that we do training and coaching for our districts.
And so obviously the last point is that this is the only thing that I can see in this world today that we can really effectively move that dashboard needle. And obviously I'd like to see Fresno County do it the best.
We do it the best.
And prove it.
Yeah.
And we don't want them to steal our staff, but copy us as you run. That's the greatest compliment.
You guys do a good job of training because it comes down to the registrars at the individual schools of moving those kids around in CalPads. And then, I mean, they go even further. I mean, part of this is about special education and then the state developing the SACE system and how those move around on special education plans and tracking, that all the systems are coming into play of tracking student information to provide better information to teachers so that teachers can use that information to target students of how they can learn best. And I mean, that doesn't just come down to the teachers, it comes down to the clerical staff, the administration, it's every person at the school.
We provide those. Yeah.
I know that you and your team do an amazing job with all of our districts and programs. What I'm interested in is, are there any changes in this plan? I know it's just a summary for next year that we should be aware of.
It's a very good question. Not at the moment. The state of California is in process with our state board president and requirement in the new trailer bill, if it actually passes, that they're going to have some required revisions based upon feedback from a West Ed study process we follow. We are not changing the system that we have. We make it better. We're all about continuous improvement. We try to make sure that what we're doing is more on point. We do training to make sure that we sharpen our saw, sharpen our skills per se. But large scale changes right now, the state of California has not asked us to do those, and we have not done those as well. That may change next year because the state board may come in with some revisions and modifications to some of the accountability process that is being required. But we wait and see. Right now, the trailer bill language is simply, it's still proposed. It hasn't been put into place yet, but we'll see how that works. And that's has to do with everything, dashboards, assessments, all those pieces. So we're very, 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 very connected with that. I sit on the California Practitioners Advisory Group, which met just Friday, which is an advisory panel to the State Board of Education. And we were able to review all that and talk quite a bit about the information that actually is coming. So we definitely have our hand on the pulse of what's happening so we can pivot when needed, respond when needed, and make sure we're helping districts be successful and a variety of requirements that are coming from the state.
Thank you.
So the way it's set up now, we're doing it sounds like we're in the right direction.
Yes.
And yeah, we probably will tweak it as we move along, but on behalf of the board, I want to thank you for your work up there in Sacramento, and because this is what's going to move the needle in education.
It is.
It really is, and the governor can't wave a wand and make it happen. It has to be done in the trenches.
Hard work with the districts.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Any questions?
Okay, don't run off.
Okay, I'm not running off yet.
Yeah, FCSS.
So next one is our local performance indicator report. So I will briefly go through this. The dashboard for the state of California has a variety of indicators that we provide data. Some of the indicators are provided by the state. The best example that you can get are test scores. We don't have to do anything. We give the districts give the test scores or give the tests. The scores come to the state. They populate a dashboard with those. Some of the priorities that were identified by the state of California were less easily measured by a number. So what they've done is they've asked each LEA to collect data and report on what they call local indicators. So if you look across there, those are the local indicators that are required to be reported on by each LEA, except for the last two. Coordination of services for expelled youth, coordination of services for foster youth are specifically the responsibility of county office. So we have to do that. We report on this. Districts do not. So as you look at this report that's in front of you, it is simply a summary of what we have done. They call it a self-survey. And it's a summary of what actually we did internally in our LEO. Fresno County Superintendent of Schools is also an LEO because we serve students. So our court and community program, special ed and most, we actually produce our local indicators that are reported on the dashboard. It's a met, not met, and as we go through, you will notice that we've done self-studies, self-evaluation, provided evidence to show that we have met the requirements for the local indicators for our internal LEA for the state of California. So upon approval here, I mean, it's not approval because it's an information item. We present this here at the board for information, and then we will submit those to the state of California to be able to show that we satisfy those requirements. And it goes across basic services. There's academic standards that you see, parent engagement, specifically the specific activities associated with those, which you'll see in the item. Climate, access to a broad course of study. These are things that the state of California identified as necessary beyond simply looking at test scores to show we are doing what we need to do as an LEA to meet the needs of our students. And so the local indicators performance report that you'll see is simply a summary of that, what we've done and what was. Happy to answer any questions about that.
A quick one.
Yeah.
Self-assessment, outstanding, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Is there any state validation that has to occur with that?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. But the validation is this. Validation is this is public. So we are taking this in a public forum here in no board meeting. We are producing this in the actual agenda that people can download and review. And then we publish it on a website that any district, you can go into any district across the state of California and pull that down. So if there's something on there that you say, as a parent, as a community member, that's not right. That's very, very public. And so it's not something that they're going to, the state has not done a validation process where they're going to come out and say, you said this, is this correct? They've left that really to the public to be able to say, here's what you're saying. Present it at a board, say this is what you're going to do in a board meeting, put it in that agenda, and then actually post it on the website and allow them to do that. So, and there has been some challenges, but not in our county at all, but across the state, there have been some that have said, hey, I don't understand this part. So we're very honest, very thorough, and we'll make sure that as we go through the process, we really do address, because let me just say this as well, we're the example. So we are the example.
Yeah.
We have to do it right.
We are the
Unexpected
stellar
anybody
example.
else.
Stellar example.
We cannot expect them to do it.
We're leading the way and everyone is watching Fresno County.
I agree with that.
No,
Indeed.
it's true.
Oh, no,
It really is true.
You all are doing a stellar job. Indeed you are.
Any questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much, Dr. Wheeler. Oh, yeah, don't run off. Okay, and then we'll move on to business services. Mr. Otto? We'll start with the budget revision. Becky?
Thank you, President Clyde and board members. I'm here with seeking approval of the 2024-2025 budget revision. So these are the changes since the second interim was adopted in February. And there's part of your packet that we normally show you the information. Item A shows the total revenues, expenditures, the net, and then the beginning balance and the projected ending balance. Items B and C are the changes in revenue and expenditures since February. We move to the next page. I want to point towards item F, which is the unappropriated fund balance and economic uncertainty. Basically, these are the unrestricted dollars that are in the budget, and you can see the percentages there. And items G are the other funds at FCSS. At this point, budget is kind of out the window. We're focused on closing the books and getting actuals ready. June 30th is our end of fiscal year. So again, this budget was probably finalized in early May, and we do not make changes to the budget after that. We're just focused on actual point in time. But these are the changes that occurred since second interim back in February. When you've all adopted that.
In regards to our forestry reserve fund, is that this report or the next?
No, it's actually two with that.
Okay,
One
thank
more.
Pause and a note.
Okay.
Thank you. Everything else is great.
Yeah, I'm just glad to see the reserves stay
Yes.
above 10%.
Right, and I will say that our ending fund balance, I would be very, very surprised if it didn't go down this year because of the ESSER dollars that we finished up spending. There's also a couple of grants in the special ed area, the Chibi grant, and the other acronym has escaped my mind, but our ending fund balance will go down. Like I said, I was very, very surprised if it didn't do those one-time expenditures and actually making those payments in this fiscal year, so.
Well,
Just
that's just an accounting thing. They were gonna be gone anyway, because they're all one-time.
100%, yes,
Right,
sir.
right.
We utilize them very well.
And we will be back probably in October to report those unaudited actuals. I'm just kind of forewarning you as to what I expect to happen.
But those would not be part of the, basically unrestricted. So still unrestricted, you're looking at a fund balance of $39 million with reserves of 5.5 million.
And again, this is budget,
Yep.
best guess at that point in time.
But the 5.5 will probably go down. By the end of the year.
5.5, which
Million.
No, the 5.5 is the reserve.
Right. That, you don't think that'll change much? The difference.
I think you're saying the 86 because those are restricted, because those are from the Chitty grant and the other special ed
Gotcha.
grant.
correct. So I would think our ending fund balance would be close to what the projected is.
Okay. State only requires 2%.
Actually, three for the county.
3 for us? Yeah. I mean, Clovis Unified is at 2, but they, by board action, don't want to go below 10%. We're like the state is. So I think, you know, I looks like we're in good shape. Okay, any other questions on the budget revision for 24-25?
Great job.
I'd like to move approval.
Well, it's not.
No, it is.
Oh, it is, I'm sorry.
It's an action. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call?
President Clyde?
Yes.
Vice President Masimoto?
Yes.
Member Burton?
Yes.
Member Robles?
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson?
Yes.
Okay, so fast. Now we'll move on to the proposed budget for 25-26.
Yes, thank you, President Clyde. Once again, we're consider approval of the 2025-2026 proposed budget. And again, you have a similar memo to the 24-25 in front of you. Shows our item A shows the revenues and expenditures. B, the components of projected ending fund balance, the unappropriated and the other funds. I also have the PowerPoint presentation. And that's really far away. Hard time seeing. Pull it up on my- Let me get this one.
That's okay.
So what you have is our general fund ending fund balance history. We go 3 years back and then we show the estimated actuals, which we just went over. And then the adopted budget that we're looking to get adopted today. As you can see, it stays fairly steady at the end of next fiscal year, which is a good thing. We wanna hold the reserve steady. If we go to the next slide, it shows the revenues versus the expenditures. As you can see for 25-26, which we're seeking adoption for, the revenues and expenditures are pretty much the same. I think we have a net gain of $480,000, what we're proposing. The next shows the budgeted revenue summary. Again, this is the reverse of what a school district would look like. Most of our revenue is target or restricted, and the smaller amount would be non-targeted and unrestricted. The next shows the components of the budgeted revenue. Again, this would look much different if we were in a school district. They would have probably 70 to 75% of the LCFF revenue. Here we have only around 25% is LCFF. We have a lot of other local, state, and federal revenues. The big section of that local revenue is the contract with the County of Fresno for our All for Youth program. Next slide shows the budgeted detail for the restricted side and the area that those revenues are in. You have court schools, special project, safe and healthy kids, migrant, cyber highs, special ed self is our largest program or department at FCSS, and some smaller ones that make up smaller dollar amount. The next slide shows the budget revenue detail for the unrestricted side. School district services, internal operations, and special activities make up the majority of those, with a little bit of unrestricted lottery in there. The next slide shows the budget expense summary. Again, most of our expenditures are restricted or targeted in nature. Smaller amount, either non-targeted or unrestricted, be the opposite at school district. The next slide shows the components of those budget expenditures, and these are by object code. Salaries and benefits make up a large portion of our budget, along with some books and supplies, services and other operating expenditures, capital outlay, and transfers in. And the last one shows the budgeted, second to last one shows the budget expense detail for the restricted side by area, again with self and special ed making up a large portion of our expenditures, along with the Department of Safety, Health, and Kids, and the other departments that make up those expenditures. And the last one shows the unrestricted or non-targeted, similar to the revenues, it's internal operations, school district services, and special activity.
I think just good generally publicly to point out that we're spending about, on special ed and self, about 100 million a year.
And then there's also some pass-through dollars that go to Fund 10, about $75 million, that goes out to the school district.
For special ed.
Correct.
So we're spending, is spent in the county, within the county,
There you go.
about
Yeah,
175.
we don't spend those dollars.
Correct,
It's passed
but
through
it
the-
is spent, yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
And as of before the meeting, we do not have a state budget yet, so I was Marcy, remember last week, we did a summary of the state budget, so we don't quite have one yet.
Still waiting.
Still waiting. The legislature and the governor are still ironing out those details.
We may not for another week and a half.
Well, I
No,
think
they're
after,
close. I think they're close.
after June
We were
15th,
waiting
they
last
don't
night.
get paid.
Yeah,
So
we're
I'm
waiting
surprised
last
it's
night.
not done yet.
Well, we'll see.
When you start,
And
They
then
were
once-
watching last night. We were on a call last night, a literacy call, and they were trying to report. Watching this.
And then one slide back, I think one thing people are pretty interested in, I mean, we're still budgeting right there, $10.32 million for migrant education. So, you know, still having that commitment toward migrant education in our valley.
Do you have some questions? Since we're on this page, I would like to see kind of, or have a brief description of kind of what each of those programs does, like for our community, so that they understand. Like, I think one of the big things that I, as a community member, is that I didn't know how much we do at the county office. And it's so important because we definitely want to be transparent about where our dollars are spent. So I think it'd be great to have like just a brief overview. Of course, migrant is such a important issue right now. So I would love to hear like, what are the types of things we're doing in migrant? How are we spending those $10 million?
Well, and I think it's also important that we look at items and you understand how things like the Department of Safe and Healthy Kids affect all of our communities. Those are before and after school programs that are across the entire valley. So those are assisting kids across all of our schools and before and after school programs, not just here in Fresno, but across, you know, from rural schools to Central Unified to all the way across Fresno, where we're running programs through Department of State and Healthy Kids.
So are we able to do that now? Like, can you do like a brief description of kind of like what we do for each of those, at least on this page, I think, 'cause there are restricted dollars.
I think between myself, Dr. Lira, and maybe some of the folks in the crowd, we can probably do that.
Accountant?
Yeah.
And I know you probably have knowledge of some of these, but can I ask for you to work backwards? Which ones would you like to know about specifically?
Well, I think Ford Schools is an important one. I think, like you said, Department of Safe and Healthy Kids, migrant, maybe our CTE and our special ed.
We'll have court schools come up first, and then we'll do safe and healthy kids. And then I could speak to migrant, and then what was the other one? Sorry.
Safe.
Safe, we have safe and healthy kids here too.
If
And career check ed, okay.
It's things like credentialing teachers and certain health services. So it's a good idea to give a little bit of an overview. Thank you, Joe, for starting with court schools. Maybe you could tell us a little bit like essentially who, what, where, when, how. Yeah. Brief.
Yeah. So, brief overview, I'll speak to court.
Perfect.
So court schools are partially in the county. We have roughly, right around 100 and 120 students on a given day. And our program, our alternative education program, works with Fresno County probation and other county collaborators at the facility specifically for educational services. We are a middle school, high school program that provides a regular school day schedule for all of our students on the school days throughout the school year, as well as a summer program in June and July. A big part of our program is credit recovery and earning credits for graduation. It's a really big portion of probably our biggest goal is graduation rate for graduation for our students. We also have CT career tech education programs, dual enrollment college program, adult program, fairly new adult for our students. And we have a new firefighting academy for our students also. Our students range from roughly about 12 to 13 years old, depending on the student, all the way up to 25 years old. So we have really an array of small groups of students. Speaking to our community school advisors, that's Allison Military School, the Airport School, Pilot Hines Education Academy is our community school, and we provide services for our expelled youth in the county. And so we have a close collaborative with all of our districts in the county, and we have provided a place for our students to land for their educational services. And we're upwards of about 60 to 65 students. Some students come to school every day on a regular basis, and some are on independent study. And our supports really mirror our court school at the juvenile justice campus, and vice versa. It's a middle school, high school, and provide we have a little bit less staff, smaller populations, just a little bit smaller staff, but the support providers and collaboration with support providers is really essential for both of our sites. We partner with Troy Center mentors and all the youth, as well as Fresno County Probation and Fresno Police Department, Boys and Girls Club, WellPath as a big juvenile justice. Really our at Thomas students and so just a kind of a quick summary of our services. Any questions?
We did get a chance to see the library at the Juvenile Justice Campus. That library funded.
We utilize the night. I want to say ESSER funding, but I think it was ESSER funding. And that was a project that kind of project that took some time to design and really implement. And so very grateful because our libraries had a really a refresh, and our students noticed it, and they love it in the library to check out books. And so, yeah, we're grateful to be able to provide some best with them.
It honestly was like a different feeling when you walked in there as opposed to the rest of the campus, right? It's just like a sense of normalcy that we're giving those students. I really enjoyed seeing that because it wasn't like you guys just put bookshelves and books on there. It really was attention to detail and for it to be a calming atmosphere. So I definitely want to thank you for the thought that was put into that. Thank you for everything that you're doing for our at-risk youth and really just firsthand, you know, we heard stories of just the challenges they face and seeing themselves that we were given a second chance and we're taking this opportunity and that's why these services are so important. That we do them and that we invest.
Very invested staff and definitely know those.
Jump into Safe and Healthy Kids next. Corey oversees that department. I love the title, but it's sometimes a little bit confusing because it's predominantly our after-school program.
Quite a bit that we do. So there's at least 5 things I'll talk very briefly about. Fresh is the first one, stands for Fresno's, which is recreation, enrichment, and scholastic health. That's your typical after-school and before-school programs that do activities, homework health. They provide food, nutrition, snacks for students who go across the entire county. Some districts will do it on their own. We partner with those who need the help with it, so we provide a great deal of support through the teaching fellows and our internal staff as well to be able to provide that. That's the core of most of what they do as well. They also do systems of support for expanded learning. So if you're looking at some of the work that they naturally do, I'll looking at my notes. Foundational program ensures partner schools have training, technical assistance, and infrastructure to deliver high quality after-school expanded learning programs. We help districts also provide that, so we train them as well. They also do, this is fairly new within the last couple of years. You might have actually heard about it from Superintendent Copeland, where she talks about community schools. We are the only one in the state of California who have, community schools are everywhere in California, but what we have done is we've worked with districts who may not have been able to have the internal support to run or provide what's needed for a community school. So they actually bring those districts in and we'll go out and apply for the grants as Fresno County, working with them to be able to go and get those. So some of the smaller districts, really small districts, who may not actually have some of the internal people who can do that, we help. So that's, when you look at that number, that was up there up 60 million, part of that is dollars that are coming kind of passed through from us to the districts to help them with community schools. So that's super innovative. Brent Smither, Helena Silva, amazing. It's like, I just have to highlight that. That's really cool to do that. The last two, very quickly, wellness and nutrition, it's a huge one. We actually provide some wellness and nutrition across the county, less about the health side of like the nurses per se and more about food and food choices. And then the last one is the one they call PRIME. I love this program: prevention, intervention, mentoring, and empowering. So this is a youth-focused strategy designed to support students. It's really cool because you already know one of them because it won a Golden Bell a couple of years ago. You weren't on the board at the time, but they won a Golden Bell because they go out and do cooking strengths with some of our students who are homeless or foster kids. And they actually go out and build them up, go through our Scout Island and work through some of that work and be able to build the strengths for some of these kids who traditionally don't receive that type of support. And then there's also leadership training for our students. So they actually do something through that. It's fantastic. Helps them with, there's others as well, too, through drug education and things along those lines. But there's a variety of things that are kind of put into that.
Are there any school districts that we aren't working with?
Yes, Fresno Unified. Because there's a couple of them that choose that. And again, if most of the programs that we run through are state other types of programs, so there's for work. So sometimes districts are like, we don't want to deal with that side, we just want to offer the program, so we can handle that side of what we're doing. Fresno Unified sometimes wants some ownership of their own programs, so they would rather do some of those. Central Unified was talking about it as well. There's a couple who do it. Close to, so there's a big money.
And I do want to highlight, I know when we met internally and had individual meetings, that I'm glad you brought up about the support that we provide to be able to get additional funds. Big deal, because if districts, don't have the capacity to be able to apply for more funding, being able to critical to a lot of the services we provide. So
And it's working.
Special ed next. Again, just to
Thank you,
cue up,
Dr. Grino.
we have the biggest part of our budget is special education. So again, consistent with the fact that we're the safety net for our students in Fresno County. Trina and Chris head up, and we're lucky to have Eric in the audience as well, and Liza. And so you'll be hearing from them later, but briefly, 79 satellite classrooms across all Fresno County school districts, and 3 of our comprehensive, again, moderate to severe supports. That's an overview.
So thank you for asking about special education. It's been my passion for 31 years. And I'm going to tell you all about it in less than 2 minutes. I do want to speak about the SALVA. So all school districts in California are required to belong to a SALVA. Fresno County is the SALVA for 29 of those districts. Fresno Unified is big. They run their own programs. Clovis is big. They run their own programs. But there's 29 small districts in Fresno County to belong to the Fresno County SALVA. And then the side of the house that I work on is special education, where those 29 districts can refer students to us. And we operate specialized programs for students with the most severe disability in Fresno County. And as Dr. Coper mentioned, we have 3 centers, ranging from Monte Vista and Sutherland. And then we have a slew of other classes located in 14 districts all across Fresno. So those are the services that we provide for the self-ed and also Fresno County special education.
So when you say you provide are they on the campuses?
Yes.
The school campuses, and you guys have special teachers and we just kind of do the curriculum there so that the students aren't detached from their campuses.
Yeah, most of our classrooms are. To have the biggest centers, or some of our students are with the full are on the site that are on the dorms.
Do you guys provide parent support?
We do, and I'm excited later to tell you about our parent engagement activities that we've been maybe share. I'll be talking about that when I go to the site.
Thank you.
Is there any other category, or is that a good overview at this point?
Migrant.
Migrant.
Oh, perfect.
Migrant, yes. So for migrants, we are migrant education program. So we empower and support all things student and parents in the realm of migrant education. So we provide at least 500 Fresno County students with, we want to say 30 Saturdays, but it ends up being like 55 Saturdays of programs, anything that encompasses their immediate needs or helping them bridge any gaps that they may have with our school systems alongside their parents. So some Saturdays are by themselves or separated, other Saturdays they're working alongside their parents. We implement middle school and high school mentoring programs at 16 middle school and high schools. We provide GED and health services to it was 275 to now at least 300 out-of-school youth in the county. We provide 25 summer program opportunities, listen to this, for at least 4,000 students in Fresno County. And we provide leadership opportunities to middle school and high school students throughout the county. And then for our parent empowerment, we support, it was 7 districts and now we're up to 9 districts in terms of interdepartment bridging as well to support our migrant families with other departments, great departments that we have here. We provide parent engagement to new communities within Fresno County and provide parent education to 50 new preschool families and support the first ever Laos Community Parent Conference. And that's just in a nutshell. And you know what? I do have Dr. Kofer that I could share with Trustee Robles later. I have our department accomplishments at a glance. There's a few tweaking and updates, but I could share that with her as well. With the guests.
And probably a good idea to point out, since we are talking about the budget, is with the federal, I guess, abolishing of the Department of Ed, that pass-through money that's where the funding with the migrant ed and special ed come from. Is that going to be hopefully gone to block grant to states? But in the meantime, we still have to keep these programs going, so we're dipping in to reserve to some extent, at least plan to. Is that a fair statement, or where are we at that now at this point?
So I believe the federal budget that we're talking about now is for not next year, but the year after.
Okay,
So we have what we expect to receive in migrant education funding budgeted next year. That could change. We don't know. $11 million, and I'm not sure how many employees we have in the migrant education department. It would be the superintendent's decision at that point if cuts were to be made as to how to move forward with that department.
If I might, we have 26 migrant staff members, and we would shift, if we are cut in half in terms of funding for migrant, we would shift more. Already got our eye on the ball.
okay, all right. That's what I was just concerned about. Is that, we would be, caught short, but if it moved to the state and then block grant to us from the state, yeah, that's gonna work.
That would work.
Yeah,
And our districts are amazing. They've worked out sustainability plans, and our team continues to work with them as well, so that they could sustain some of these programs and continue to implement
so
some.
that's the bottom line. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course, no pleasure.
Any other questions?
Are we still?
Yeah. It's still on the,
So I do on page 12, where it talks about school district services. So what kind of district services is that referring to? I think it says 18 million.
So that's the way we pull that data. Our account code is 26 characters long. So there's a goal and function that indicate school district services. So like Dr. Greenlaw's salary would be a school district service. Some of our IT staff would be a school district service. Anything that we provide to school districts as a service would be coded to that account code. So to tell you exactly what it is, I mean, there are lines and lines of the budget that make that up, but that's generally what it is.
Payroll staff.
Absolutely, yes.
Payroll staff, internet, we're
District
the
payroll
internet
staff,
provider.
our business services district, financial services team, anybody that provides that service to the district. A lot of Corey staff is coded to that goal/function.
Another question on page 30, where it says county school service fund. On the budget, so you have the estimated actuals and then the budget for 25.
Are you looking at the SACS report?
Oh, it looks like it's 30 at 152. Is what I-
Okay. Let me get there. I didn't bring that 108 page document.
152.
It looks like the title says Budget July 1 County School Service Fund. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay. Restricted balance. Font size -3. Geez.
Yeah, all of a sudden we jumped to nothing.
So my question is, there's sections where it's 0 on the budget, the 25-26. I just want to know, why is that? And is it because they were one-time funds, or is that?
With the community services,
Sorry, I'm still getting the page. I'm trying to figure out.
schools partnership act.
And I see a good example. For example, Kevin, a line would read Student Support and Enrichment Block Grant in 24-25, 200,000, and 25-26, 0.
Yeah.
So their grant that's been expended.
Right. That's more than likely the case.
Okay.
Similarly, I see California County Schools partnership.
Equity multiplier, I think that's,
Yeah,
Their grants.
those are all one times that have run out.
Or we're not sure if they're gonna be in the state budget. If they're in the state budget, we will adjust the budget at that point. Keep in mind, this is our starting point for next year. We will change it continuously.
In fact, the 254 or whatever it is, that's gonna be significantly different
Yeah,
by the end of the year.
That will go up.
And then I think the other question I have is on 91, when we get into the criteria and standards review summary.
Okay,
On some of the sections where it says that were not met, can you provide some clarification on what those were and why they were not met?
so do you have a specific,
oh, I see. The matrix at the bottom.
Yeah.
Criteria and standards review summary. Item 1A, average daily attendance met. Item criteria 1B, ADA county programs not met.
Right, so what the criterion standard does, it compares like the previous 4 years' data, and then you have next year's estimate. If that's plus or minus 2%, it'll say not met. So it could be at this point in time, that's what we're projecting the ADA to be. It could go higher. Obviously, we'll adjust it throughout the year at P1 and P2. But that's how it determines whether something is met or not met. So you'll see a lot of revenue, like federal revenue will be not met because this year we have a lot of federal revenue. And next year, we may not have all of that budgeted yet because we're unsure if it's going to continue or new grants will come in. So it might go down 20 million, but that's over 2%, so it says not met.
Is there any of these areas that are met that would be of concern?
No, not in this criteria standard.
Because this is the only form that you have to do, so you have to kind of,
Right,
it has to fit the box. This really isn't representative of what's actually.
right. We don't go in and put those X's in. They're automatically put in by the
Right.
state software based on the data we enter in the 30 pages of the criterion standard. So we can't make it met or make it unmet, not met.
But it's nothing.
You know, there's nothing in the criterion standard that's.
Or there should be a third column that says to be determined.
Something like that.
Yeah, that would be
Kind of
easier to
concerning
understand,
way
yeah.
of-
I think you'll see,
If it is granted.
if you look at this area in first and second interim, you'll see less not met because we'll be comparing data that's similar.
So
at
we'll
that
see
time of the
that
year.
at a. Well,
You will get this again at
Okay.
first and second interim. It'll always be at the end. It's the last 30, 40 pages of the SAC software.
and my last question, page 148, so that's one of the last pages. I was trying to make the lines kind of together to see if it said no or yes or no, because they're kind of off. Where it's item A5, has the county office entered into a bargaining agreement where any of the budget or subsequent years of the agreement would result in salary increases that are expected to exceed state funded cost of living adjustment? Is that one a yes or a no?
That is a yes.
It really ought to be a question mark. Because we haven't finished that.
Have completed negotiations with CSEA. Not CDA though.
Okay. Right.
And this could be referring to a prior year where I think we settled in the previous year, the COLA for the state was 6%. And due to the health cap increase, we gave a 6%, but the health cap increase pushed us over that 6%. That's what it's saying is the state, what's the state COLA and what did you give?
Always is confusing because of the packages are not put in with the salary package. They really should be, but
Sometimes they're unknown.
Right.
At first interim, fingers crossed, we will be settled with all of the bargaining units, and that information will be included in there.
at least for last fiscal year and this one, and then we get to start the process all over again. What, 6 months or 4 years?
The CSA, we have 2 year agreement.
Yeah, but I mean, that's goes
It'll be
back into,
April. Start again.
right.
Yeah.
April.
What's wrong?
A good question.
Yeah, no, there were
Good
good questions,
question.
yeah. And I can definitely tell you read this.
And if you have any additional questions about this, give me a call and we can go over it on a Zoom call or want to. I mean, it's a large document. There's a lot of information.
Yeah, and I think, that I'm getting used to the diligent thing. I love the whole comments thing. It takes me exactly to the page that I read it on and I can see my notes. It's great. But just in terms of like asking this questions, I want to make sure that I ask them in the place where we're in public and people can kind of learn about our budget and be able to see the things that we kind of deal with internally as well.
And that's a really important thing to do, because you may know the answer, but that doesn't mean your constituents do.
Right.
So that's why it never hurts to ask and be diligent on that, and be thorough, especially with the budget. This is one of our 5 big things that we do, so that's one Are you done?
Yes.
Now, I have a quick question on CTEC. Can you give me an idea what their enrollment's looking like? We're getting up towards August.
I talked to Jonathan a couple of weeks ago at the top of the stairwell, and I believe the new incoming freshmen were between 110 and 120 with the potential of, I think, 15 sophomores that are interested in joining the school. So
So he could overshoot his,
because we can
projection.
absorb that, we can
Cool.
absorb those sophomores because that class is not capped out yet. So
that's good.
What's our maximum enrollment?
I think we're shooting for 120 is the,
Like 120 per class.
Like for the freshman class.
And we-
Which would put you, I don't know where your seniors next year, what numbers are they gonna be, you think?
Okay, no, we just had a board meeting last night, but while I'm pulling this up, we, yeah, literally last night. We had last night. One thing we have to be careful about is with the enrollment, we have to strategically place these students because we could end up with a need of more teachers in those core curriculum courses. Yes. Yeah. I don't think it was, right? No. Yeah.
Because it is what it is, because you're not gonna add to those.
not to.
Not to juniors or seniors, you're not adding.
Yeah, not
So
to-
whatever it is there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be freshmen and possibly a few sophomores.
But your budget was based projection wise on your freshmen, but your sophomore add are just kind of a bonus.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Good. Okay. Pretty good on the way. Yeah. Any other questions? Because this is a big deal. And I'm glad to see that we're balanced. It's a balanced budget. Some of our other large school districts don't enjoy that position, and I'm glad that we do.
We have an amazing team.
Yeah, I mean, it's very
The amount of
impressive.
work and work with budget managers in the office, it's a 3 to 3.5 month process.
And not only that, to stay within above that percent, with that good, healthy percent reserves, because I've said it 100 times that we're gonna go into bouncy economic conditions, and so we wanna keep programs going, not adversely affect kids, and keep teachers, not have to lay anybody off. And that's the whole point. We've done it before. We did it in 08, 09, we can do it again if needed. So anyway, thank you.
I'd just like to say that I appreciate the opportunity to sit in on some of those budget sessions with the department heads. It's insightful.
Yeah, and I'd
Any other?
say, yeah, it's a great accomplishment when you look at closing out the 24-25 budget with unrestricted fund balance of $39 million and projecting next year at closing out next fiscal year at 40 million, when a lot of agencies are looking at negative cash balances as their projections for the end of this coming fiscal year. So it's a huge dedication by everyone in the finance department, not just that, but every single member of the Fresno County Office Head, every single employee should be commended for that. It's not just one person, one department, it's every single person, every employee taking personal responsibility for financial solvency of the organization.
I agree. Fantastic. Well said, Member Burton.
No, that is 100% true.
Fantastic job as always, Phil.
Okay, without any other discussion?
A motion to approve?
Yeah, any motion?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Roll call vote?
President Clyde.
Yes.
Vice President Matsumoto. Yes. Member Burton.
Yes.
Member Robles.
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson.
Yes.
Bingo. Got that one done. Good. Okay, now we'll move on to J3, Force Reserve.
Thank you again. President Clyde, and consider approval of the apportionment of the 2024-2025 Forest Reserve. You have a summary of those figures in front of you. Small portion of that comes to the County Office of Education. Some of that goes to Kings Canyon Unified, Sierra, Sanger Unified. And then down below, you see the breakdown for Big Creek, Pine Ridge, Sierra Unified. These are these are ongoing dollars. This is something that's not new. It's come to the board every year. The numbers have reduced kind of significantly. I think Dr. Clyde can,
It was almost double this. in the
can
beginning,
talk
yeah.
about how much more money it was years ago. But still, some of these school districts rely on these funds to to provide what they need for their kids. And up and down the state, there are districts that utilize these dollars as well. And the money comes in and we transfer it to the school district based on your approval.
And there's actually more money than this, but it doesn't actually go to schools. It goes to the county for some roads, and then another 7.5% goes back to the forest for projects in the forest that the public can use. And just 2 weeks ago, I chaired the committee that appropriated those funds, and they had built up to 610,000. And because of COVID, we didn't meet, and so we met and dispersed every penny. All of it goes back to the forest for public use and forest health management. So in one night, we spent over $500,000 just doing that. That was kind of cool. Just for the public, it's not really a small, 103,000 is not small to Kings Canyon Unified, really. Sierra Unified, you can certainly use it. And these small Big Creek and Pine Ridge, they're both what's called basic aid districts. So they get a lot of funding anyway. So even though they have 2,000, 5,000 appropriated for an elementary school district, they're not starved, put it that way. They're doing, I can tell because they're in my district. So I know these schools. So this is, now, my quick question on this, any idea on this getting renewed?
I don't.
Because I've heard it got passed over in this budget, and this may be the end of it. We don't
We've
know.
heard that for probably
20 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
at least that for many, many years.
So anyway,
We're
there's,
always happy with it.
right. We don't need to go into why this is here to begin with, but that's another story. But anyway,
So are you done, Dr. Clark?
Yes.
Because I know you're the expert in this area. And I heard you make the proclamation that there were more funds in the beginning and now there aren't. And I'm so excited that we had the opportunity to mention the Firefighting Academy that was just launched. And my question, of course, you know, I'm getting ready to give you that leadway. Are there any funds that we can capture to be able to send some more of our young men up into that program to fund it? Are there any fundings in this area, in this category, that are available in some of the expenditure account? Are there any
Flexibility.
and hearing that we had more funding previously, how did it decline? And are we able maybe to capture some more funding and replenish that fund so that we will be able to send some more of our young men that are there at Alice Worthley and some of our other collaborations into that pipeline to our beautiful firefighters academy that we have created, with Fresno County being the first time being involved this past month.
I,
Please and thank you.
Pointing at Joe.
and I'll just say, I don't believe we have any influence on the amount of money coming to us. As far as the forest is, kind of is what it is, so we accept it happily. And then I'll let Joe.
So are we able to create a larger pathway for our young men to participate on these programs?
That would be a decision that the superintendent.
Joe looks like he wants to talk.
Oh, Joe wants to.
You wanna-
speak again?
He was sitting up in his chair. Yeah, during the LCAP, maybe,
Yeah,
I think the forest item is that the Forest Service funds are determined by the Forest Service to offset lost property taxes is really what it's from, and so then it must be devoted to the districts that actually occupy the lands covered by the National Forest. So then during the LCAP for Violet Hines and Worsley, we can probably talk more about the partnership with CAL FIRE and their account.
And Dr. Clyde, you mentioned that there were larger funds previously and decreased.
Or yes, slowly diminishing approval by Congress. Sometimes it's a rider bill, sometimes it's a standalone. But they have to, every 2 years, have to renew this, and it's always a question. And all of it came real quick. It started because of the spotted owl. And when the forests all over the West were closing their sawmills, there went a tax base from that, and therefore schools were suffering. And so Congress put this bill in, Rural Schools Act bill, it's called, to augment back to schools some lost in cash revenue. That's where all that came. It was supposed to be 2, 4, 6 year kind of thing to get them over the hump, but it's been going on for 20 now or so. And but it has a lot of lobbying to keep this going. The National School Board Association does a lot of lobbying to keep this, so that's where this money comes from. And so if they pull it off this year to get it renewed, I have to tip your hat to their lobby effort. That's a pretty tall order. But anyway, so that's where that comes. The COVID time didn't have anything to do with the interruption of money to the schools. We always gave it to them every year, as you know. But as far as the force is 7.5%, that was held up because it has to have a separate RAC committee, rural accountability committee. Anyway, long story. But that's where that came from, and so it was never intended. But there are counties like Alpine County. I think it's what 90+% of its budget is off, and they would be in serious trouble if this. They'd have to, I think they have 2 schools. They'd have to shut them both down and send the kids across county lines. And so anyway, that's where all that's from. So
Thank you. Different budget. I'll get it. Don't worry.
yeah, but as far as augmenting different funds, that has a lot of possibilities. But I'm just personally throwing out. I'm kind of walking softly to see how our budgets work out first before we make any other commitments.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on forest reserve? Any seconds?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Was that Kimberly the second?
Yes.
President Klein?
Yes.
Vice President Masimoto?
Yes.
Member Burton?
Yes.
Member Robles?
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson?
Yes.
Thank you. Good. Okay, let's move on to alternative ed. Mr. Hammond on LCAP.
The whole assessment interest rate.
Is this
Interest rate. Good afternoon. Once again, Board President Clyde, Vice President Matsumoto, board members, Superintendent Cooper. My name is Joe. Alternative Education for Success. I am here to present to you the 25-26 Local Control Accountability Plan for considered approval. As a condition of receiving LCFF funds, President County Superintendent Both community schools is required to develop and adopt a plan delineating how FCSS and both community schools will address the 10 city priorities. The state adopted a template. You have a 2-page handout with a summary of the LCAP, and we'll take a few minutes here to go through just a few slides. Starting here with first slide, the LCAP is a 3-year plan, describes the goals, actions, and services and expenditures for our programs. It provides the annual report for the last cycle. It also provides the new plan for the current cycle, the 3-year cycle. The LCAP includes many metrics, state and local metrics, as well as our goals, and goal analysis and our actions that I'll speak to in just a minute. We are focused. Thank you. We are focused on transparency, equity, and subsidiarity. The plan is developed through extensive educational partner input. And this involves our staff, parents, community members, and students in this process. These are some examples of our educational partner input are our LCAP educational partner feedback meetings that we have periodically throughout the school year.
Student and parent advisory committee meetings, school site council meetings, district English learner advisory committee meetings, parent information meetings, parent workshops. We have back to school nights, open houses at our school sites, as well as utilizing our parent, staff, and student surveys during the school year to gain input on the writing of our LCAP. The LCAP includes ongoing equity multiplier funding also. Equity multiplier funding provides additional funding to local LEAs, for LEAs for allocation to school sites meeting non-stability and socioeconomically disadvantaged people thresholds in the prior year. These will be in, I'll mention those in just a second, but those are equity multiplier goals are goal 6 for VHEA and goal 7 for WARS. Okay, this is just a quick summary of our goals. And you do have, I think you have the 2-page handout, looks something like this, summary of our LCAP. And I'll quickly go through these, just highlighting a few of our action items. First of all, goal 1 is our student engagement and school climate goal. And just a reminder that after we write our LCAP after gaining feedback from our ed partners, we analyze our metrics, all of our metrics, state and local metrics, and these are the goals as follows. So goal 1, some of the actions that we're looking at after looking at our metrics are partnering, continuing our partnering with probation and security support, specifically at VHE, but also that partnership with probation at Worsley, transportation support for students, wellness supports such as school nurse, school psychologist, behavior oversight from our management staff, and really focusing on home visits, truant services, and this includes, goal 1 includes our ongoing facilities and operational costs for our program. Goal 2 is academic achievement and instruction. This is really a large one for us as far as the kind of the length of the LCAP. This includes a lot of actions. Some of these actions included after looking at and analyzing our metrics are supplemental math and reading intervention staff. We've implemented reading and math intervention classes at both of our sites. So our goal 2 action is, one of our actions is to support our intervention teachers, which in turn really support our graduation, focus on graduation rate and our college career indicator. We also have professional development for staff in core curricular instruction, as well as English language development, SCL curriculum, and many other kind of supplemental curriculum that we are implementing on campus. This goal also includes our academic tutors on campus at both sites, student and staff instructional technology. It's really a big thing. It's part of actually our WASC. We have we're a WASC accredited program within both schools, and that was one of our focus areas is technology in the classroom. And so we've really focused on ensuring that our students, it's a 1-to-1 ratio as far as student technology. Everyone has the laptop or Chromebook, all of our students, as well as really utilizing and embedding instructional technology in the classroom. And those are programs such as Gizmos and Desmos. Edmentum, we utilize Edmentum. It's an online platform, instructional platform at VHEA. And it really revolves around engagement in the classroom, right? So we know that if our students are engaged, they're going to come to school and they're going to do well in the classroom. And it really addresses, it's a real big focus on attendance rate and suspension rate that we'll talk about in just a second. A couple of few other things are assessment data tracking systems. We utilize student information systems to really track our data, both our state level data as well as our local data. And of course, that includes our academic data on our campuses. Positive behavior intervention and supports incentives for our students, designated English language development supports for EL students. That kind of ties in with our intervention program and ensuring that our English learners on campus have the opportunity for designated ELD, English language development on our campuses. This goal focuses also on our teacher librarian, which I could speak to, and definitely we are one of few port or community schools that have a teacher librarian on campus that really focuses on our reading culture on both of our campuses. We also have a new library assistant, and so we're really trying to push our library services for our students, collaborating with Fresno County libraries, Fresno City College libraries, to bring as many supports and services to our students as far as library services go. This also encompasses leadership staff on campus management, special education instruction, career tech education teachers, core academic curriculum, the majority of our base LCFF funded school staff, and it also includes summer school operations for both of our sites in goal number 2. Goal number 3 is our family and community engagement goal. We provide bilingual services for meetings, for school to home communication, parent outreach workshops. We also utilize Parent Square communication in our programs with our families, and so many of our notices and event notices are sent out not only by paper mail sometimes, but also via Parent Square, where parents and family members and community members are getting text messages and emails, and we're able to track that data. It's one of our metrics that we utilize for these goals. For this goal specifically is how many contactable family members do we have that are actually getting the text message for a PTA meeting or a school site council meeting, as well as how many of them are actually clicking on that email or clicking on the text message that they'll actually see. We obviously have our PTA meetings that are throughout the school year. School site council meetings are, like I mentioned, our ELAC meetings and ELAC meetings, open house, back to school nights, and obviously our graduations, which we just got done with our spring graduations, and just another collaborative with our parents, family members, and community members that we're very proud of, and looking forward to continue as far as parent and family engagement. Goal number 4 is our expelled youth re-engagement and transition goal. This goal encompasses personnel to oversee and monitor and facilitate services specifically for our expelled youth, and to provide services improving communication with districts. And so this is management staff, and going back to focusing on attendance rate and making those truancy visits, and really supporting our students the best that we can to get them to school. Also collaborating with our districts is a huge, very important thing that needs to happen that involves our leadership and management staff, and just ensuring that all of the supports are available for, especially our expelled youth, but also our incarcerated youth, that all the services and supports are available with that kind of that collaborative mindset. It's not just the HEA staff on our own working with our expelled youth. It's we have that, we're holding hands in the process with our districts. And so that's our expelled youth re-engagement and transition goal. Goal 5 is our foster and homeless youth achievement support. This is to support school transitions and educational plans for foster and homeless youth, leadership programs, provide technology and hotspots for foster and homeless youth, maintain our I-plan, and then educational planning with probation. And so we work collaboratively with other districts, as well as our internal foster and homeless department, to ensure that our foster and homeless students are supported in the right way. We have foster and homeless liaisons at each campus, working with our guidance learning specialists and other staff members to ensure that we are providing just those supports that those students need, those unique supports that our students need. And so we're excited to continue that process. Goal number 6, like I mentioned earlier, we have our equity multiplier funded goals. These are our goal number 6 is our VHEA student engagement and success goal. This encompasses us being able to hire an art teacher for our alternative education program that supports both of our sites. We have a content specialist focused on academic achievement, data analysis, professional learning communities, our PLC data talks with all of our staff. We have a content specialist that is providing those supports for really our staff, which obviously, rolls into the classroom, but we have a content specialist that supports our whole program. We have a guidance learning specialist as a part of that goal, a community assistant. And then we also have utilized some funds for career tech education and dual enrollment implementation, including support and supplies for the HEA specifically. So that's, we're going through differentiated assistance planning right now. Both of our schools are in DA. Like Dr. Mila mentioned earlier about our DA process. So we actually finished, we had a meeting this morning. One of the implementations is utilizing our community schools funding, as well as some of our LCFF funding, to bring career tech education and dual enrollment to Violent Hines Education Academy. We're going to start with after-school program, with our after-school program, really. And we have CTE teachers at Worsley that we're going to bring over after the school day for after-school welding clubs and horticulture clubs. And so we're excited for that. We're also talking dual enrollment for our students. Our dual enrollment program at Worsley is very strong, but we're working with our ROP department, as well as the State Center Adult Ed Consortium and our State Center Community College District to bring dual enrollment like we have over to Violent Hines Education Academy. And we're really looking at some possibilities of medical career pathways, which encompasses firefighting, and even looking at law enforcement, just looking at who do we have at the table, who do we have at our sites right now, what we could collaborate with to get a dual enrollment instructor on campus, right? That's the President Probation and PD and Sheriff's Department, as well as our fire department. And so we're excited for goal number 6. There's a lot there, but we're excited for implementation. We know it's going to take some time, but that explains goal number 6. And then goal number 7 is our Alice and Worsley equity multiplier goal. Within that goal, we are funding an academic intervention teacher, which supports our math and reading intervention programs, behavior intervention specialist, which is what we're looking at bringing someone in to help with behavior intervention, our new behavior intervention plan. Also our art teacher, our content specialist, our GLS, our CTE and dual enrollment programs already implemented at Worsley. So those are kind of in a summary of goals 1 through 7 of our LCAP. And I wanted to go over just a few highlights that many of us have heard or know about a little bit, but just wanted to highlight, academic interventions and supports for students. I did mention our reading intervention, math intervention programs, and our data is showing that it's these intervention programs for identified students is working. Our students are learning. They're learning to read over a short amount of time, coming in at a kindergarten or first grade level, and they're graduating from our 20-lesson, very intense Tier 3 reading intervention program, and they are participating in class and they're reading in class, and we're seeing the same, not quite the same jump in numbers as reading, but even our math intervention classes are seeing successful rates with our local benchmarks. So we're excited for that. Our student progress monitoring, library supports, like I mentioned, being able to have a teacher librarian on campus and a library assistant is really huge. We have author visits all year long. We have our book club is up and running. We'd like to mirror some of those implementations at VHEA in the next school year, with our library assistant being there now. It will be a full year. And then we utilize, utilizing our data, our student information systems for all of our site level data. Our teachers are very, very comfortable looking at their own data, looking at their students' data, and then having collaborative conversations about that data and why it's working or maybe why it's not working. And so those PLCs are really happening. Professional development for our staff. We utilize content specialists through FCSS, content specialists in each subject area at our school site. calendared professional development days, one-on-one, one-on small group with our teachers for instructional support, professional development. Like I mentioned, CTE supports an expansion in welding, forklift training, dual enrollment, and I just mentioned that the medical careers possibility, firefighting, law enforcement down the road for dual enrollment. Behavior supports and oversight. Implementing positive behavior intervention supports has been huge for us in the last year in our programs, and we know it's going to take some time, but we have PDIS teams now that really are working with our staff and our students on a system and processes and organization of supporting our students with true positive behavior intervention. Obviously focus on academic numbers, but also attendance rates and suspension rates. Student technology, I mentioned some of the things that highlights of student technology in the classroom, site-based academic support, and then our parent and educational partner outreach, some of the examples that I mentioned about different opportunities that we have and provide for parent engagement. And then lastly, our state recognized student successes. I wanted to mention that there are some state level numbers that I'd like to kind of recognize. One of them is our dashboard for alternative school status. It's called our DAS dashboard. We often hear our graduation rate. Graduation rate is one of our goals for both of our schools on the California dashboard. And we actually had a little bit of an increase in our graduation rate overall for alternative education in the last data cycle. But that's in the 20%, and we know that. And that's, that went back to utilizing that 4-year cohort of students, which many of our teams aren't with us for even a year, right? And they end up in that 4-year cohort. But I did want to mention that our DAS graduation rate, and this is numbers because the numbers are so low at PHA, their numbers are so low as far as the number of students below 11, so we can't publicly share that data. But the DAS graduation rate for a 1-year cohort, so that's a 1-year group of students that we've identified as a cohort, is drastically improved globally, going from last year at 63.2% of those students graduating from high school to the year prior to 74.1% of our students. So that's 20 out of 27 of our 1-year cohort students that graduated from high school. And so we're very proud of that. We've seen those numbers fluctuate anywhere from the 60s to the high 70% over the last 4 years. So that's, even though it's not advertised on the California dashboard, it's one that we have in our metrics and we look at, identify those students. And we also have a plan in our DA process to identify our 4-year cohort students for our graduation rate that we're planning kind of as we speak. We have a state recognized dual enrollment and college program at Alice Worsley School. And we are one of very few port schools in this state that has a fully functioning dual enrollment students. Students are earning college credit and high school credit at the same time, as well as our program for adult graduate college students. And I know you've heard this before, but we have, for the first time ever in Fresno County history, we had 2 of our students graduate with their AA degrees. They're both successfully continuing 4-year university, Sac State and Fresno State right now as we speak. One has been released and he's attending Fresno State. The other student is still with us, and she's taking upwards of 15 units right now and doing A's and B's. So it's pretty amazing. And so along with
I was going to say, if you had a student who was in a court school, you would want them to be in Fresno's court school, right, in the state of California.
Yeah, we're really proud of that. When I'm on a state level board for court community alternative education administrators, and I enjoy going to those meetings and collaborating with other important community schools from all the way from San Diego up to Shasta County, and we're doing some very good things, and we're learning a lot from other counties also, but we definitely are doing some really good things.
Since we're on this part, the kids from JJC lateral out, once they're out of there, they don't go back there, they go to hopefully to Buy High.
It varies. I think
Okay.
oftentimes go back to their home districts.
But they may choose to go to Vi-High.
It's a possibility.
Correct, right? I mean,
And then if they are expelled, they came to us, and they have the opportunity to.
okay, so what I'm looking at is you can really make these kids' credit score jump quick. So what I'm wondering if we can kind of reverse how you do that and apply that to the general population. See what I'm saying? We took these way under unit credited kids and bounced them up quick. What are we doing right? And so that's where I'm thinking maybe the general population of schools can learn from this. And that's why,
And it's really, it's really tier, our programs
Yeah.
are really tier 2 and mostly tier 3 intervention programs. Right? And so we understand that and identify that pretty quick. And so that's why we have our tutors in the classroom and our intervention classes. And we have there's a lot of small group instruction going on because we know the needs of our students. Some of those.
and so whatever you do, enrollment is an add-on, which is
Absolutely.
another factor. And so basically, whatever you're doing, I think you're hitting the right buttons here and working it. And this is a lot of moving parts in what you do. I mean, your whole report was 20 pages longer than our $250 million budget we just passed. So there's a lot going on here, and I understand that, but I think it's working. And I think the general population can learn something from this and how you approach education differently. It seems to be more central, local, kid focused, and that pays off. That's what I'm getting. It works, whether career tech, whether it's dual enrollment, both. And you're doing this in a short time because even at Vi-High, you've only got them for a year.
We're seeing our state level numbers they can be a little rough at times, right? And we know exactly what they are. We're trying to incrementally see success, so small successes at our state level numbers, but our local numbers, at Worsley just in itself, going from a 35% increase in writing, and our writing benchmark to 75 in the school year, and like we're seeing.
That's what I'm getting at,
Yeah,
right
we're
there.
seeing some
Yeah.
local numbers, and so now the next step really is, now that we're comfortable with our local data and comfortable with our data analysis and our DLCs, is really trying to find, like, we need to look at our state level numbers, identify exactly those students and the students that are doing well locally, and what are some things that are common or uncommon as to what instruction looks like, so we can see, so we can make decisions. Will hopefully help those state level numbers also. We see success locally, local assessments, right? So
I don't see how you could not see that. You know what I mean? As long as the numbers don't
a
lie.
lot of the numbers
Yeah.
are, the students that we have right now, they go and test somewhere else.
Well, that's, yeah.
So it's
It'd be a
kind of
nice
tough
way
number.
to follow. So if they go to back to their home district, they may end up choosing to stay at Vi-High. Just for the educational opportunity.
And a few here and there decide to stay.
Anyway,
And that seems, sorry, a little long-winded there, but that's in my. Happy to answer the question.
don't worry about that. Because if this is meat, this is really the red meat of the whole lot.
There are separate goals for keeping, I forgot what it's called, but keeping students in school, engaging students and parent engagement. And part of the engaging students is the PBIS, the behavioral court. I'm curious about the marriage. Are we working with parents about how to interface with their kids with PBIS models?
Yes, we actually collaborate with our family empowerment department here at FCSS, and we offer parent workshops for our court and community school parents housed at BHU. So we've been doing that for a few years now. And so we do get a small population, depending on the class, but they are parent workshops. And so, it can be anywhere from, homework in the evenings to social media workshops, to understanding transcripts, to behavior, positive behavior at home. And so we definitely have, we have that support there for parents. So we're proud that, our goal is always to increase that percent of those are, that collaboration with our department here internally is So that's one way that we do, along with the other, different types of meetings.
Because your student population, as the reason why they are your students are because they've already exhibited poor behaviors in many extremes. So it would seem to me that that would be a really critical piece, working with their parents or caregivers or whomever they are about behavior management, behavior oversight.
There's a pretty big collaboration with our school psychologists, our special education department, with parent engagement. So there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of Zoom meetings, talking about, behavior prevention. Supports like that to just keep that collaboration ongoing.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Great.
So could you give us just a little information about our firefighters academy and how we were able to participate and how it was?
Yes, and so that is a Fresno County program for our SYTF students, secure youth tracked facility students that are housed at the juvenile justice campus. This program is available and brand new for our SYTF students. These are our long-term students, anywhere from 3 years to 7 years at our facility. And so there's a brand new program that I believe Fresno County is partnered with CAL FIRE. And the name of the camp. Pine Grove, there you go. It's Pine Grove up in the mountains, I believe, Northern California. And we got 2 students, we had a good handful of students that applied. 2 of them were accepted, and they're already up there. They haven't come back yet, so that's good. And so a very grueling training, and they're outside and they're cutting lines for fire treatment and getting, and so we're definitely proud of collaborating with. There's many of our collaborators on campus that are a part of that group that help support those students with Fresno County Association really at the head of it. And so that is a Fresno County funded program, but definitely an example for us FCSS wise to get some ideas on what it could look like at our school counties.
So first time Fresno County has ever participated in this program. We sent 2 up. Never. First time. Fantastic. And one of the participants was actually released that day and was accepted into the program. I'm so excited.
Both former graduates of ours graduated with us last year.
I'm so excited. I just see the vision and the opportunity of making the pathway even larger for more of our young men and women to have the pathway to the forestry. I shared a story. I had a cousin that was incarcerated, and when she joined the forestry program, it just changed her life, and it's made such a big difference, and she's continued to be successful, and it just made such a big impact in her life and just turned her around at that moment when she needed it. And to be able to get out of that concrete jungle and get out into the forest, and with certification, opportunities for jobs and a career pathway, just a beautiful opportunity that we can offer to our young men.
And it puts those kids in a different
Yes, come on,
peer
Dr.
group,
Clyde, come on,
in a
Dr.
different
Clyde.
peer group altogether. And secondly, I think there's gonna be a big push for that with a lot of more money coming out of federal that'll go to the state and then to the counties for this. I see the momentum
Come on, Dr.
is definitely in that. No, I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard
let's do
work.
it, let's
If any
do
of you have
it.
ever been on a fire line, it is not easy.
Right.
It is pure torture.
Discipline.
And the kids that stick that out, boy, they can stick out, they can handle a lot of life's issues if they can stick that out.
Thank you. Thank you for presenting and sharing.
I was gonna say, like, I wrote to Kimberly, like, is there the cost associated
Yeah,
to
what's
it?
the
What is the cost associated?
To send a student
No, I'm not sure. I could probably get that information from Fresno County, see what that looks like financially. I know it was in a presentation, a couple of presentations.
Yeah, a couple of presentations ago, but if that's maybe something that next year as one of our board projects, I mean, it's a pretty significant thing that we've been able to develop something like that. Maybe one of our board projects can be to sponsor one student.
Yeah, how much, what the financial cost is to sponsor a student to participate?
I think that it'll be something that'll outstrip their ability to train them in that facility. I can see that coming, because I think there'll be a huge movement.
And then also to make sure that we are doing some type of media, being that the young men that are in the pods are not able to see the opportunity that's before them. And this is historic for us. It's the first time we've sent two up. So we need to have some publicity, some media. You said you had hold on, she wrote it down. Let's see, we have a content specialist. And so we can get our content specialist to do a promo and follow them a little bit and document what they're going through. Bring it back to the young men in the pod so they can see what the possibilities are for them.
I think that'd be powerful, being very tired.
Good.
With Fresno.
We got Steve, come on, let's do
They'll
this.
be tired.
This is my,
I think a big deal is if they get some news coverage in the kids over at JJC, see their friends
That's
on
it,
TV
that's
doing it. That's huge.
That's it.
Any other discussion on the LCAP alternative ed? Carol, entertain a motion?
Just real quick, just an edit on the action item, because it says Thursday, June 17th. Okay, Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Good catch.
I like a move approval.
With the correction. I'm trying to catch up. I don't know where it is, but
That's on the cover sheet. isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
It's on the
It says
cover
on, yeah, that doesn't matter.
sheet. Yeah.
That's just a recommendation here. Okay. Is there approval? You got a motion on that? Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
President Price?
Yes.
Vice President Masamoto?
Yeah.
Member Burton?
yes,
Member Robles?
Yes.
Member Tapscott? Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, education.
Great job and
innovation
congratulations on
support.
your promotion.
Lori Lloyd. There she is.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Board President Clyde, members of the board, Coker. I am pleased to be here to provide a brief overview of our federal addendum, which is a companion document to our LCAP that Mr. Hammond just gave an overview. So I just wanted to give you a quick context for what that federal addendum is. It outlines our planning for our federal dollars, our federal funds. It explains how the LEA uses federal funds to support underserved students, including our English learners, our low-income students, and students with disabilities. It aligns with the LCAP, our actions and goals in the LCAP, and it focuses on academic improvement, educator development, and parent and family engagement. Must be submitted to the CDE, and it must be presented for board approval. So I wanted to share some key highlights for our FCSS as a district. Federal addendum, we have federal support for our academic interventions and mental health and professional development for our educators. And we also provide parent engagement opportunities, especially for our high needs students' families. We also provide supports for our English learners. They receive targeted instructional support that goes above and beyond their core instruction. So this is supplemental support. We provide bilingual communication and parent workshops to support our English learner families. Also outline our planning for our neglected or delinquent students. So that's our Title I Part D funding. And that includes credit recovery, transition planning for our students, and CTE opportunities. We also have our planning for our support for our foster youth services, and that's includes a centralized app and a database to coordinate records to improve our graduation outcomes for our foster youth. And then finally, we have our family engagement opportunities. outlined in that plan as well. So, I just wanted to provide a brief overview for you, and I don't know if you have any questions or comments. Be happy to take.
Before, is this a new
So
report?
So this report has been updated and it doesn't require an overhaul each year. And so this year we took another look at it and we didn't need to make many tweaks, but we just updated some of the language to align with our LCAP, but we did have some changes in our LCAP. And then this is why I'm bringing it to you to make sure you are aware of that, and we will then present it to the CD.
Do you do this every 2 or 3 years or?
Yes, as needed.
Mhm.
We do review it, and it doesn't always need to be revised.
And what type of revisions were made? Were there any egregious changes made or?
No, it really did address some of the enhancements to our LCAP. So for example, the CTE expansion that Mr. Hammond referred to in the LCAP overview, that would be our CTE expansion to BHEA. So that was just highlighted in our. Just changes like that, we want to make sure we're capturing those adjustments.
Any other questions? Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Any second?
Okay.
Roll call, please.
President Clyde,
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto.
Yes.
Member Burton,
Yes.
Member Robles.
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson. Yes.
Very good. Move on now to educational. Thank you very much. Educational innovation and support, Dr. Greenlaw, for the SPSA. Oh, yeah, okay.
You guys need a stretch or something, all right?
Do that.
Fun and an honor to come speak to you about the SIPSA or Fresno County Special Education. Just a few updates about the program and the students that we serve. This year, we served 571 students in grades K through age 22. And when you include preschoolers, we were over 600 students served on behalf of the 29 districts in our Fresno County SELPA. And again, those are the students that we're serving on their behalf with moderate to severe disabilities. We serve the students in one of 78 special day classrooms. Next year, we're going to have 80 classrooms. We're opening 2 more, so we're very excited about that. And we're proud of several accomplishments this year, including we are in the green on the dashboard for our low suspension rate. We do, I think, just a nice job supporting students, even with some very significant behaviors, but we're able to provide supports that keep them in school. We made excellent progress in reducing chronic absenteeism from 81.6% in 2022 to 49.9% in 2024. We saw a 16.3% increase in our ELA scores for our students who are English learners. That was pretty exciting to see.
That's great.
And then earlier, Ms. Robles, you asked about parent engagement, and this year we provided 21 parent engagement evenings or daytime activities for our students our parents on various topics. So 21, and that was a high for us, something that we hope to continue next year. In the SIPSA, our area of focus and our action steps for the new school year include continuing our efforts to reduce chronic absenteeism. Although I feel like it's going to be like that last 5 pounds that you want to lose, it's this next chunk's going to be really hard. We've made so much progress that this next little hump there. We also are going to focus on implementing year 2 of the courses study that will lead to a diploma for students with moderate to severe disabilities. You might recall that was legislation a few years ago that students could earn an alternate pathway to a diploma. We have started that cohort. Those students are now going to be sophomores. So in a few short years, we will be able to offer diplomas to our first graduating class with an alternate diploma. We are also going to focus on increasing college and career preparation for high school students by increasing opportunities for our students to receive transition classroom and work-based learning experiences. If you're ever in the building, sometimes you might see our students working here in the building. We partner with facilities and other departments to get them that classroom and work-based learning experience. We will also focus on improving safety for staff and students by offering additional training in nonviolent crisis intervention and also increasing our school psychology services in our extensive supporting program. And then lastly, the SIPSA will focus on providing some additional coaching opportunities for our teachers on our new Teach Town curriculum. So are there any questions I can answer for you before you?
Christian? Any discussion? Entertain a motion?
Any concerns that you have?
I think the concerns I have would be, making sure that we're providing additional authorized hours for our employees to get the much needed training that they need. It's so hard to provide training during the day. And thanks to these dollars, we have the opportunity to do that, after school hours or on weekends. So I'm looking forward to that this year.
Thank you for your service. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
President Klein?
Yes.
Vice President Matsumoto? Member Burton?
Yes.
Member Robles?
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson?
Okay, now move on number 7, top 28.
Well, Dr. Greenlaw's on his way up to the podium. I would just want to underscore the fact that Chris does such a great job. How many visits this year have you done?
Wow.
Thank you very much. Thank you, because it's a huge.
And I know they enjoyed every single visit you made.
180 days. Yeah.
It's a number.
Yeah, thank you.
Good for you. I want to hear about art and music.
Excited to be here. I bring for you today the approval for Proposition 28's Arts and Music in Schools grant expenditures. So this was a new program last year that we put together kind of a plan they had to be able to support arts and music across our programs. And so the state requires annually for us to actually submit a report on what was being done with the funding. So in the packet, you actually have that funding report as well as, I believe, a handout that you can see up there. It talks a little bit about what we're doing. This is it's not a lot of money, but it is money that is in our budget that is supposed to continue on to be continuous. We should be seeing this unless they change some of that funding, but what we're seeing is it's not. We use it in combination. We braid the funds with some funding in the equity multiplier that's used in the LCAP. So that's one of the things I'd like to write at the beginning. We're very intentional in supporting our students across a variety of settings with the funding to be able to really meet the needs that have been identified. So this funding, you can see we fund about one teacher. That's one full-time teacher that goes across both the HEA and Worsley to be able to support some of this work, as well as with special education. So that's to answer questions. The programmatic stuff, they may have to answer more specifically on.
So it looks like 3/4 of one teacher. Right?
Yeah,
Again,
one
we use
teacher?
a variety of funding, others as well. So this one here, again, is
I
not a lot of money, but it's a little more restrictive in certain ways, the way you can spend it, but with equity multiplier, you get a little more flexibility.
How much money was this? Did we get from Prop 20?
Funding that you asked. And Lauren gave me that, it's about 137,000 total, you use some funding there and also some of it.
And you contacted 685 kids with that money?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Great fiduciary responsibility.
Yes.
And our special education programs, I know we've got multiple sites, but it's counted as one. I mean, it has 3 sites. So I'm just curious.
This year, we're excited to have Kate Blunt. She is an arts instructor for Buckland County Superintendent School. We contract with the arts department for her time, and she was able to provide direct arts instruction to, I think we got up to about 400 students just in our program alone. But you're right, she couldn't get to all of the sites, so we did focus on the centers and our integrated high schools. That was the first time ever.
In my mind, that's multiple sites.
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. She did that. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean.
So what do we need to do to get a second teacher?
Get more money.
More money.
More money.
More money.
We know, yeah, that's a lot of capacity for one person.
She's pretty phenomenal.
I understand that, but if we don't want to burn her out.
Is there more potential for Prop 28 money, for more money out of Prop 28?
Because it's about 125
That would be
with
a
salary and
question. I
budget.
don't believe that's gonna change.
No, it's in the state budget. The legislature and the governor both agree. So right here, that says they agree that it's in the state budget for next year.
We're excited.
For one teacher, too.
But
Well,
That was-
for the same time.
for the 130, whatever.
165. So it's about 125 for salary and budgets for another teacher.
It's a matter of, we try to make it so that we're creative in the way we offer it, able to allow that flexibility. And so we have someone here in contract with them, which allows a lot more flexibility. It's more sensitive. That's what we're doing. Here, they're a little bit different, but that's, those just the things.
I mean, you already got benefits taken care of anyway.
Yeah, it just makes it easier. and
Right.
more flexible.
Any other questions on Prop 28? Art? Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve?
And a second?
Second. Sorry.
Roll call, please.
President Clyde?
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto? Member Burton?
Yes.
Member Robles?
Yes.
Member Tapcott Munson?
Now we get to a good, well, they're all good.
We're working our way down the list.
Mr. Becker?
Here we go.
Right, good afternoon, President Clyde, members of the board, Superintendent Cofer. I'm excited to present this item to you regarding the sale of Scout Island North to the Salenton River Parkway and Conservation Trust. On March 20th of this year, the board took action to accept an offer letter from the trust outlining the general terms of a sale transaction, and that afforded 90 days from March 20th, that's the actual date we took action, to enter into the full negotiated agreement, which is the agreement before you today for your consideration. It's been negotiated, it's consistent with the terms of that offer letter. It's before you today. Happy to answer any questions you have regarding it.
The only thing I might throw out is, Mr. Otto, what can be done with that revenue?
Mr. Becker's, you can answer that question as well.
Yeah, so statute requires when you sell capital assets, that money be reserved for future capital outlay. So it will be set aside for future capital outlay of this office and this board.
And the office and the board in general, not necessarily restricted to Scott Island.
Correct.
Did you hear that?
Do we put a
Mr. Hammond?
designation on the funds? Do we put a designation on the funds?
No.
No.
We gotta get it under a roof first.
Well, all right.
But I'm just thinking about the, Byhines little addition, to a small project, but
Better shade.
that's why I threw it out. Better shade for them, or some shade for them, put it that way. Anyway,
I just want to say, I think it's a great opportunity for us and for the Conservancy and appropriate use for that parcel, that they will maintain it as a wild space, which would be appropriate. So I'm pleased with the agreement.
any other discussion? No, I'm just, this is one of those everybody wins kind of thing. And, I'm just really glad that it worked out this way. So,
I'll entertain the motion.
yeah. need a mo-
Motion to approve the sell option agreement for Scott Island North and authorize the county superintendent of schools to take any and all actions necessary or proper to implement the agreement.
Did you get all that? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
President Clyde?
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto?
Yes.
Member Burton?
I'm gonna abstain, so I think I live within like a half mile of this property.
Member
Different
Robles?
county.
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson?
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank Jeff. I appreciate very much your diligence over 20 years on this project. Chris Lozano, thank you very much. Jason, thank you very much. Thank you, board. And I would be remiss if I did not thank publicly our partner in this endeavor, and that is the conservative faith partners, so to speak. It's gone along really, really well, and I think collectively we can all be very proud of the action that's moving forward.
It went very smooth with them.
Yeah,
It
you all
really
did
did.
well.
Yeah.
Negotiate. Great job.
Been a lot of ranch deals. This is one of the easiest ones. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, no, don't leave yet. Okay, facilities maintenance plan.
Yeah, thank you again. This item is presented for your certification of our comprehensive facilities maintenance plan. This is required by Education Code Section 17070.75. It requires the board to certify as part of the annual budget process. We're also doing today that a plan has been developed for the maintenance and repair of state-funded school facilities. We meet this requirement through development of a 5-year plan based on the age and condition of our facilities and equipment. We have quite an extensive and long spreadsheet tracking everything down to square footage of carpet, square footage of tile, serial numbers of air conditioning equipment. And based on the age and condition of that equipment, we project 5 years out what our financial need is for maintenance. We also use our facility inspection tool that was developed by the Office of Public School Construction, also used for Williams inspections, to assess the condition and adjust the timeline. We're going to either push it farther out if it's in great condition, or maybe accelerate it a little bit sooner if it's a little bit rough. So currently our spreadsheet's projecting over the next 5 years, so next fiscal year, in a few weeks being year 1, approximately $4 million of maintenance need over that time frame. We fund those projects with 2 sources. First is the routine restricted maintenance account within the general fund. And that's also required by the statute that I mentioned earlier. It requires us to set aside 3% of our unrestricted general fund dollars for maintenance. And we have to do that for a 20-year period after accepting state bond dollars, which we last received in the 22-23 fiscal year. So we continue to do that for the foreseeable future. Second, we continue to set aside funds in the deferred maintenance area. So as you recall, when local control funding formula was implemented, that deferred maintenance program as a categorical program was rolled into the general fund amount and local control funding form as part of goal number 1 of the school safety and the Williams items. So that funding is there, and locally school boards, districts decide if they're going to continue to fund deferred maintenance. We have chosen to continue to fund the deferred maintenance fund, so we put aside a contribution into the deferred maintenance fund each year. So again, $4 million of need, and at the end of this fiscal year, I'm projecting that we will have just over $9 million in those 2 funding sources available for these maintenance projects. A lot of that a positive gain we made there in having fully funded maintenance is the ESSER funding. Because remember, we knocked off $4 million of our HVAC just with one ESSER project. So the ESSER funding really put us in a position here. So we are very well funded. You have in your packet just the few-page summary of our maintenance plan, which outlines this process for your consideration and certification. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring up that 4 million over 5 years is not bad at all. Not bad at all. And because I remember our HVAC was 4 million alone, but it was wise use of ESSER funds, one-time ESSER funds, just wise. Get us all caught up facility-wise, and it was a good job. Good job. Thank you. Okay.
One-time monies for one-time
One
costs.
time, yeah.
Time funds, and you did an excellent
That's
job.
smart. That's serving the public's tax money well. Anyway, entertaining motion?
So move.
Second?
Second?
Roll call?
President Clyde?
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto?
Yeah.
Member Burton?
Yes.
Member Robles?
Yes.
Member Tapscott Munson?
Yes.
Okay, now move on to student services, Mr. Burgess. Risk screener. Oh, it's screwed up.
Christina.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't look up. My fault.
Today, speaking of to adopt a reading screener instrument as required by Education Code 53008. The purpose of the reading screener is to ensure early identification and reading difficulties in students in grades kindergarten, first, and second grade. And I'm presenting this on behalf of SCSS, as my program is likely the one and the only one to be utilizing the screener. It's unlikely that a kindergarten, first, or second grade student will be educated BHE or the fall. So therefore, that's why this screener became important for our program. The requirement does impact special education in a unique manner in that most of our students are already in special education. They've already been assessed for reading. So we anticipate the number of students we need to assess based on this requirement to be very small. Nonetheless, we are required to adopt a screener, so that's what I'm here to do today. The State Board of Education did put together a committee that reviewed screeners. They put out a list of 4 possible screeners that districts and county offices could adopt. We have gone through those screeners. Some of them weren't available in Spanish, and others didn't include all of the grade levels. So it really gave us about 2 that we could look at. And we are here today to recommend Multitudes, which is a product developed by UC San Francisco, as the screener that we will utilize next year for our students. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have about the screener.
Something new.
Something else.
Well, I was on a meeting last night on literacy, and we were introduced to this, and we were told about the 4 screeners for dyslexia. And that was one of the presenters, and kudos to you. That was my choice. Thank you. Hey, I'm happy. Yes, good choice. They presented very well.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve?
There's a second? Okay. Roll call, please.
President Clyde?
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto?
Yes.
Member Burton?
Yes.
Member Robles? Member Tapscott Munson?
Yes.
Okay, now we'll move on to board projects section. As you can see, the nominees are we, did you want to discuss any one of them, or how do we want to approach this?
I'd like to make a proposal.
Sure.
I think all 5 of these projects are worthy projects. If you add them all up, I believe if my numbers are right, the total's 22,800, which would be in excess of 2,800 from what's in our budget. And I'd like to propose that we just reduce the Special Olympics for middle school expansion by that amount, which would make that 4,700. And then we've got a total of 20,000. That's my thinking.
That sounds fantastic. Madam Vice President. Our
Any other
numbers line
discussion?
up.
Would you like that as a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve all 5 projects, reducing the amount for the Special Olympics Unified Champions Middle School expansion to 4,700 instead of 7,500. The total would be 20,000 for the 5 projects then.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on that motion?
I would like to add that with the project student aid, I really would like it's not to fund a school they already have, but a new school, ideally outside of Fresno Unified. We talked about that last time. That was part of the intention, but maybe I should addend the motion to
Amend it.
amend the motion to include that. I would like that project specifically to be for a Title I school outside of Fresno.
So the school hasn't been located, they.
Right,
Gonna
and
pick
we
one.
can help them locate
Oh, okay.
the school.
Just to clarify, the possible project.
That's the project,
Here.
Project student
Project Student Aid
aid.
with Cornerstone Theater, not Theater, Cornerstone Community Care.
And what was,
That this money goes to funding a new school that's not currently being served by them outside of Fresno Unified. I had talked to the program director before, and that was a possibility, and I just would like to see them kind of expand and,
They could
might be-
identify rural schools.
Right, it might be Malaga, it might be,
Viola, Pierce,
Just
Yeah.
give them some guidelines.
yeah, yeah.
That's fine.
Their project.
Yeah, give them the guidelines, that's fine.
Okay, as modified. Is there a second?
Second, yes.
Okay, roll call, please.
President Klein?
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto?
Yes.
Member Burton?
Yes.
Member Robles?
Yes.
Tapscott Munson?
Yes.
Okay, trustee activities and travel request. Hearing done?
I need to
Hold
go.
on. Didn't we, on your email, it says only one person responded?
Yes.
Okay, hold on, Dr. Klein.
Oh, okay.
You have some housekeeping to do.
Well, last board meeting,
Come on, Doctor. Hold on, Doctor.
there was some chatter last meeting about not going to CSBA after all, and maybe going to this other one, but I haven't got an answer either way. From the rest.
We have a trustees dinner tonight, correct?
No, we do not.
Darcy has a meeting.
I am.
There's a board of directors meeting.
Why do I have that on calendar and I RSVP?
Oh, well, it looks like it, but it's for her.
Also, no, to
Oh,
let
I
you-
see. Well, why did I get Marcy's
It's a
calendar?
reminder, maybe.
No, we all get it, but we know you're going. but
The
it's-
calendar,
I'm president, I got.
Yeah, no, I mean,
need to be there.
we get the notice and that we know.
the calendar invite is for this trustees meeting. In the note, it just reminded us that there is another trustees meeting right after this for Dr. Masamoto.
Oh, I
So you
didn't,
were probably reading it something.
well, I didn't see Dr. Munson. Well, I just saw the board meeting and had it on calendar.
So in terms of travel requests, I need to attend delegate assembly in December 1st, 2nd. We'll be in Sacramento. I'd like to request approval for mileage and one night of hotel. I am not. Was it already approved?
Everybody had a blanket, but the last meeting, it was like, well, we might not.
Okay.
Go to CSBA.
Okay, that's what I thought. Making the hotel reservation.
Oh, we are. It's a new fiscal year.
Yeah.
That's yours. Yours is done. We're working on yours and getting the rest of them.
Yes,
You're good.
yes,
Yes. You're going to
Yeah,
both,
I-
you're going to one?
we're going to vote.
Thank you.
Right, I confirm, CSBA AEC. I will not be attending because it's my birthday and I turned 50. My wife has plans.
She said, no, you're not going. That's Monterey?
Oh, that's Sacramento.
Oh, Sac.
That's December.
That's in December.
But in September, I will be attending.
Thank you.
Okay, you're going Monterey.
Something about people thinking it's important.
Well, it is, but if we
Eh,
already
just
there.
another day.
Okay, that doesn't require any vote, so.
Yeah.
That it for travel requests? Else, travel reimbursements for Dr. Matsumoto? Yeah, you're 327 for second.
That's for the last
month.
delegate assembly.
For last month.
I'll motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Second. Who made the motion? I'm like not looking at mouths and it's.
I motion to approve.
Brian said.
And Itzy seconded, I think.
I second it.
Okay. Tapscott motion.
President Clyde?
Yes.
Vice President Masumoto?
Yes, I can vote for that, can I?
If in doubt,
I need to
abstain.
abstain.
If in doubt,
I'll abstain.
Yes.
Sorry.
If in doubt.
Member Burton,
Yes.
Member Robles,
Yes.
Member Tax Scotland.
Yes.
Which if we make a motion for all of us to go, we all have to vote. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think it would have been fun.
Thanks.
Receipt of correspondence. Nothing? Comments by board members?
I'll start. First off, I'd like to say that each of the graduations I was able to attend, I thought were lovely. So CTEC to ATP, I love that one. And I really appreciated the site. I thought at the Portuguese Hall in Easton for the community that was attending and not having to worry about parking and elevators and all of that for our kids. I thought it was an appropriate. So it was kind of weird that the kids were staging in the bar, but that was the only other room I think they have. Anyhow, and also the Worsley, I wasn't able to get off work in time to get to the Violet Hines graduation. But I thought those graduations were lovely.
Dr. Matsumoto, some of the children are 21.
Some of them. Maybe so. Delegate assembly in Sacramento was pretty smooth. The breakout session that I was in was talking about effective procedures that boards have used when they have for effective meetings. And so some of the top suggestions were similar to things that we all do. We review the agenda. I don't know if we have a governance handbook and norms specifically for the board, but many of the boards do, and that's sort of a best practice that they're talking about, and that those are reviewed annually. So, we might think about that. And another top item was that all members agree when there's a split vote, and afterwards everyone gets behind the decision, which was it's a relatively common thing with school districts. But that was just a breakout session. Some of the highlights were the AI task force made their final report, and there's some really for people that are interested in supports to the local education agencies. There are a number of both board policies and tools and resources on the CSBA website that you can look at. Legislative committee reported extensively. They've taken positions on over 60 bills this last year. In the last week, CSBA members have been asked to voice their concerns over the proposed budget and oppose the governor's plan to make a maneuver with the Prop 98 monies. I can't say that I fully understand that sequence of events, but that I'm just reporting on CSBA work. There's also a full list, if you're interested in their positions on bills on the CSBA website. And those are, I mean, it was a pretty smooth meeting. Extraordinary to report on outside of that. And then the last thing I just want to report on is I'm not aware of any of the rest of you were on the webinar with Dr. Linda Darling Hammond, our president of our California Board of Education. ACCBE had a live webinar with her, which was really fascinating. And she was sharing some of the things that Dr. Greenlaw was alluding to about some of the new programs and project. I'm calling them projects. I don't know if they call them that the state board is attempting to incorporate into this year's budget. Apparently, the governor is in approval of at least many of them. But they're fascinating things in terms of college and career readiness, I don't know where are my notes on that, but, there was one item was, well, and new math frameworks. I mean, thank goodness, in my opinion, that the state is moving forward on math because we've been working for years on reading and literacy, which is clearly important, but math has been lagging. And so they're working on that significantly. And wanting to develop a competency-based transcript or propose that concept beyond a few pilot districts that are underway. So as opposed to, oh, you just passed math A or biology 1 or whatever, it's more competency-based, which also, of course, aligns with a lot of CTE work. So there's that hope to extend CTE. Well, that's what I heard. Anyhow, I just wanted to share that as an example, and I think ACCBE is doing things that we've not seen and had opportunities to participate in before. And I'm pretty proud of the fact that they're doing, they've had multiple, was on another webinar earlier, I can't even remember who it was, but they've been really informative and helpful and opportunity for Q&A. I mean, when was the last time you got to ask questions of the president of the State Board of Education? We were able to do that. So anyhow, that's my report.
Any other comment?
Yeah, Brian, you have something to say?
Mine's gonna be for future agenda items, so,
Okay, then let me jump in.
Yeah.
I did have the opportunity, thank you, Marcy, for giving the leeway of attending the Literacy Spotlight Understanding Reading Difficulty that was presented by ACCBE last night, and it was very good. That's where I heard about the screening for dyslexia and that the multiple screener that was introduced. Also, they were sharing with us AB 1454, and that's the literacy policy. They're asking us to write letters of support for that. They're asking all the boards to do that, to come in support of AB 1454 for the literacy policy, that calling us board members into accountability. There hasn't been any change, and this is the pathway forward of accepting the accountability of being board members. And there hasn't been any change, and the responsibilities of our duties to set the pathway forward of change in literacy. We're looking at our African-American male students and Hispanic students that are graduating at a third grade reading level. We look at the prison pipeline, the African males and Hispanic males are, well, I'll say African-American males are reading at a third grade reading level. If we don't have the equality of literacy, then where is it? So, literacy.
What was the bill?
It is AB 1454. Good meeting, like, just like you said, having the conversation, being able to ask questions. There's a doctor from UCSF that's leading the study, and she was on the call, and it was just fantastic. Just talking about the brain, and we look at them as having disciplinary issues, but they've been undiagnosed. And then they continue to create a history and a pattern where they're being diagnosed as disciplinary issues, but they were never diagnosed in the beginning of dyslexia or learning disabilities. And of course, you're in a large classroom. You don't want to be identified that you can't read. So what do? Cut out. And what happens? You get kicked out. Now no one knows your secret that you can't read. And it's continued. So yes, beautiful, excellent information last night. They actually are looking for a rep, so we'll have to have that in consideration as to whom our representative from Fresno County is going to be on the ACCBE board as well. But thank you, very good. And thank you, Brian, for sending me the link to register to be a participant. And it was well versed. You know, when they start talking about literacy, that's my love language. So I got really excited. So thank you, appreciate that. Are they not sending it to all board members?
I thought that they are, but just when I get things and I'm unsure, I'm trying to forward it on to you guys.
But you did, but I assumed that they were sending it to all board members.
That's what I thought they were doing, but I came across and I was like, I don't know if this went to everybody, so I'm like, I'm gonna forward it. So I think that's my item. I mean, it's a comment, but mine is really on a future agenda item. They're looking for a representative from each member board to be like a central point of contact to ensure that their contact informations are up to date and items are getting out to boards. And so to put it on a future agenda for us to, on our committee member appointments, because that'd be a new appointment for an appointment and a backup.
Sounds like they already got your email.
They do.
Brian's gonna.
They do, and I try to attend as many of their calls as I possibly can.
And I would back Brian up as a
But if we have to agendize it for our next meeting, to make an official appointment.
And then I also would like to put a letter of support for the literacy policy AB 1454 for a conversation as well.
Okay, we kind of jumped to, we might as well just finish the agenda. Everything else, okay.
We didn't take a bathroom break, Dr. Clyde.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it depends on how long the Gophers talks. Do you need a bathroom break first? No? Oh,
You have
okay.
promise, Brett. Yes. Should I go ahead and get started?
Sure.
Thank you for a really great meeting, everyone. You'll note on the agenda that I wanted to call out a few things. Oh, but it does require a discussion or rather an announcement, and I wanted to let you know, much like I did a year ago, I am bringing forward to you the reality that we have 6 master teacher positions who are getting a raise in excess of about $10,000 as a result of a salary comparison study, and to some degree, the raise that is expected in July 1, 2025. Those master teacher titles are Master Teacher Child Development Center and Lead Master Teacher. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Moving on, we are excited about submitting 3 CSBA Golden Bell projects for consideration. You know there are several categories, and within each of those categories, there are several criteria. And the arena that we have so many amazing things happening in our office and in our school districts in Fresno County but one of the criteria is a really a bit of a challenge, and that is over time you need to have collected data and demonstrate progress, impact, outcomes. And we feel like we have 3 really outstanding ones to submit this year. We submitted last year. This year we'll submit it once again for consideration. The Early Childhood Education Count, Play, Explore, Family Engagement. That one should be near and dear to your heart because you've invested in it. The second one is the ROP Design Build Competition. You may have even visited us. We did an Education Matters on it. We tripled the engagement of both industry partners as well as students participating in this last year. That is a combination with our West and the work of Anthony Ayusa and his team. And then the third project that we're going to submit is the Fresno County Juvenile Court School, otherwise known as Alice Worsley's dual enrollment program. I think that data is going to knock the socks.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna get it right there. That's the winner.
Yeah, I think we can call it. I think that's not even
That's it right
too
there.
arrogant.
And don't forget about the firefighters program. Throw that in there.
Well, that's the thing, when you start collecting data, my friend. Yes.
You don't know how I fought for that. That was probation. That was in the ear, bugging. I saw it at Reedley when we went for our trustees dinner at Reedley High School. There's the ROTC. Yes.
That's been going for a while.
I'm telling you, that's where I saw it and took it from there.
Well, I will just wrap by saying that I was recently asked by a reporter, what do you think about the last 2 years and what are you most proud of having done? And truly, I didn't do any of this alone. I have an outstanding, talented team at FCSS, and I appreciate so much the partnership and the support of this board. Briefly, I'm really proud of our fiscal responsibility. We have been very respectful and intentional about being very responsible with taxpayer money. I'm really proud about that. And we also, I think, have safer schools today than we've had in the past. There are so many different ways that we can point to that. Most importantly, we want moms and dads to feel comfortable when they send their students to our schools. And we know that we can't have schools hit and miss, so to speak. So we've worked very hard to scale best practices and make sure that that's sort of a prerequisite to kids learning to be learners in our schools. With regard to student outcomes and achievement, we are showing incremental growth right now. We're on the, I think, on the showing some extraordinary growth in student achievement. We are in 30 different school districts with our differentiated assistance, otherwise known as improvement work. And the outcomes are pretty extraordinary. And we have, superintendents sort of singing our praises across this county. It doesn't really matter whether we're popular or not. What matters is whether or not our students are achieving to their fullest potential. And there are some incredible outcomes in reading, math, in the redesignation of our ELs, which is so important in Fresno County, because once you open up opportunities for our English language learners, they then use their bilingualism as a superpower. It's really an exciting time, and our numbers are pretty extraordinary in that arena. And then, you can't do good work if our kids are not here in school. So we have some incredible improvements in attendance as well. And as I said, 30 districts. So Mendota to Clovis to Fresno to Carruthers to Pardere and ongoing. We have some really amazing successes that are collected well. I'm also really proud of our robust dual enrollment and CTE offerings. Again, those are game changers for our students in our schools. It's really hard to pick one or two things to really feel good about, but offering dual enrollment and CTE is akin to our goal, which is we want every student to graduate from Fresno County Schools with a college, career, or service plan. And I think we're getting there with being able to expand those offerings. I would be remiss if I did not mention $175 million are in currently our Fresno County schools. We're doing it differently than anywhere else in the state of California. And we're doing it, I think, in incredible service. Truly, the village is helping us raise our kids right now. And that is something that for sustainability in the future is going to be very, very important. I don't know if you were keeping score as I wrap up. We've had more successful school recognitions in the last few years than I can recall. We had 8 schools to watch in the past 1 year. We've had 5 California Distinguished Schools in the past 2 years. The year before, 5 Golden Bells. This year, 4 Golden Bell Awards. We've had in excess of 1,000 seals of biliteracy diplomas in our Fresno County schools. Again, a seal of biliteracy upon graduation is a golden ticket in the state of California. And then finally, because we know that when our kids serve others, it makes them better people and better adults, we have had in excess of 600 seals of civic engagement in Fresno County schools. All of these are things that at the last month of our fiscal year, we can have a moment to just pause and say, work well done. So again, it's an honor to do this with our 31 superintendents, our charter school leaders, and our faith-based leaders to some degree, and certainly with each and everyone.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Okay, next board meeting held July 17th here, 11 Van Ness 7. And motion, Chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
About that meeting, that we're starting at a different time that day.
Because of the retreat, yes. So essentially, we have a special board meeting in addition on the same date. I think we looked at starting at
11 or 11:30, what it was?
I don't have that right in front of me. It's either 11
We said
or
11 during our
Okay, 11.
11 a.m.
But I just want to make sure that everybody was aware of that because I didn't remember that at all.
Yes, and we'll get you a draft agenda. We'll get it to our board president and we'll certainly look for it.
Okay, and we'll shoot it to everybody. I'll make sure everybody gets the board retreat meeting at 11. That's a scaled down version from when we used to have a full day of it. Okay. We need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
President Klein?
Yes.
Vice President Matsumoto,
Yes.
Member Burton,
Yes.
Member Robles,
Yes.
Member Tapscott Johnson.
You got out of here on.
Woohoo!